Okay, let's take a quick look on how to go into the Amatrol and get the packages that you're going to need, and then we'll show how to move those over into Blackboard. So whoever has the access will need to log into the Amatrol site. And once you logged into the site, depending upon what it opens up in, you need to look over here to the left-hand side, and you'll see where it says Amatrol LMS or Amatrol SCORM. Depending upon what was opened at the last time is how it will default, but you need to be on the Amatrol SCORM. So we move over to the SCORM. Up top, you'll see where it says SCORM Package Builder, and we're going to click on SCORM Package Builder, and then you will plus down on the library, and this is where you will decide which content or course material that you wanted to go into and look at. I'm just going to click on the electronics. Again, depending upon what you're looking for, it might take you a little bit to find this. You might already be familiar with it. You can click on a product or course, and it will come up and it'll show you what's in that. So here, mastering programmable controllers. Of course, those who know what they're looking at will know what they're looking at here. So if this is the one you're looking for, and also out here, you'll see this is an ebook. So you'll look at some of the different materials to see what it is that you're after. I'm just going to go ahead and just this very top one, the DC electronics, plus down on that, you can see, oh, look, introduction to DC motion control, the DC drives, SCR control. So let's just say this is what I'm after. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it chooses everything underneath that. If I wanted to add other content to this, I could come down and let's just say I wanted to plus down on this PLC control net here. I could choose this one if I wanted to, but for this example, I'm just going to stick with the one. So you could choose as many of these as you needed. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and say confirm content selection. And here it's showing me what I have chosen. Now on the step 2 here, you've got to decide of this, what do you want? Well, I do want the pre-quiz, I want the content, and I want the quiz. Now you might know all you want is the content. That would be the only one that you'd want to choose. So you choose whichever of these you want. I'm going to choose all for the example. So I'm going to confirm component selection. And notice here it says if you select yes, the order pre-quiz, then content, then quiz will be enforced for the components you have selected. So if I leave this on yes under my combined SCORM package, it's going to force them to take a pre-quiz before they can get to the content, and then it's going to force them to take a quiz. Now what we're recommending, and unless that's what you want to have happen, what we're recommending is that you say no, and then what this will do, you'll notice it says if you select no, each component will be separate SCORM packages, and you must enforce an order if you choose. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to download 3 different types of SCORM packages. One will be pre-quiz, one will be content, one will be quiz type. And that will give you more flexibility on how you want to deliver this in your environment. You can test it both ways, but for time's sake, you might want to start this way. So I'm going to confirm package and saying, okay, you've got everything you want. They'll all come in different. And I'm going to build the SCORM package and build the package. It's going to download into a zip file. And once that zip file is on your computer, you can go look at it. And as you find it on your computer, for example, here, the Amatrol SCORM package, what I recommend is creating you a folder, possibly name it your course, name it whatever you want to name it so you'll know where this is at. I would take that zip file and I would move it to that folder. Once in that folder, I would open it up and I'm going to right click on the package. Now on my computer, I happen to have what's called 7-zip. This is what handles zip files. You might have a different application on your computer that's going to help you extract zip files. So although I'm showing you 7-zip, you'll need to understand on whatever computer you're using, how do you extract that? I'm going to take 7-zip and I'm going to say extract here. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up all of the different zip files that was in that one package. You'll notice here's content, pre-quiz, quiz, content, pre-quiz, quiz, etc., etc. So there's multiple items within that course. Now, a quick way of knowing what that is, notice it says content map here. This is a text file. I'm going to open it up, and this shows you everything that you have. For example, I've got Introduction to DC Motor Control pre-quiz, then Introduction to DC Motion Control, I said motor, excuse me, motion control content, Introduction to DC Motion Control quiz. So here's the three things, pre-quiz, content, and quiz, all dealing with the DC motion controller. Same thing here with the SCR controller, here down here with DC spindle drives, etc., etc. I highly recommend you go ahead and printing this text file. More or less, this is your content map. This is the map, and it will help you know what each one of these files are going to do. So if you're going to use some of them or you're not going to use some of them. So when you start bringing these into your course, this will help you navigate and put those in the proper place. So I would recommend printing that. So now I've got all this on my computer. I've got my printed sheet that's going to kind of help me map this out. Now we need to go to our Blackboard course. You'll log into your Blackboard course. And once you get into the course, you'll go to the course that you're going to be working on. Here I've got a practice course that I've got set up. If you haven't already created a lessons area or a content area, call it whatever you're wanting to call it, you would go up and, plus and then add your content area. And then you would have that wherever you're going to be parking your content. Mine is called lessons. Here I'm going to build content. And at the very bottom left, you'll see it says content package SCORM. I'm going to browse my computer. I'm going to go where my zip files are at. Of course, this main one up here is the big file. That's not what I'm after. I would take my content map and I would look, what is it I want to build first? So I'm going to grab this content, open it, submit, and this is going to walk you through. So this is the introduction, and I'm going to change the name of this. Notice I'm highlighting that. I'm going to delete it. So this is Introduction to DC Motion Control. That's what I want. If I want to type a description in this area, I could. Is the SCORM available? Yes, I want to make this available. I would go ahead and allow unlimited attempts, unless for some reason you know that's different, but this just allows them to view the content as much as they need to. Not sure that you need to track number of views. This is really not a grading item, the one that we have here, because it's content, so I'm just going to say no grading. We do not have SCOS or SCO in our environment, so I'm just going to leave that as no. And grade timing, just to make this stay the same throughout, we always go in and say when SCORM is completed, display score in Grade Center. But again, this is not a gradable. We're not going to be grading this. If I was grading this, then I would go in and change, update this. I'm going to go ahead and change this though, so it'll be the same. But this will not be pushed into the grade book. This is something later on when we look at the pre-quiz or quiz, this will come into play. But for right now, this is how you would set it up for your content. And you click on submit. And notice it is built. So this is inside my course. So let's go take a quick look at it, make sure everything we think is supposed to be there is there. So I'm going to click into it. And notice what it does is it launches into a different window. And you'll see all of the different areas that was inside that, the introduction to the DC motion control. I've got here, 5 different segments. Tells you what the objectives are, what the skill level, what the skill will be for that. To go into that, your students will be clicking launch. And then once they click the launch, it's going to open up a different environment for them. Notice this opening up in a different window. This is what your students are going to see. And there's controls in here that they can look at this. It's almost like a manual type environment. And as you'll notice up top, there's different controls. I would highly advise you going in and understanding how these controls work. That way, if your students have questions and so forth, you'll be able to tell them how they can go in. For example, here I'm going to zoom in. I can close this window over here to give me more desktop space, and I can use my left and right navigations basically to turn the pages. This might be a little bit hard for someone to read, so you can zoom in even more if you need to. And so they can walk through and look at the different pages and so forth. You can also turn up top. If you notice, the same controllers are up here. I just put it back to fit within my window. So different controls, go through, have a good understanding of how this is functioning for your students. A couple other navigational things to notice. If you notice in the top left up here is the title or the table of contents. You can plus down on that. You can jump around to the different areas there. There is a skill PDF that can be opened up. I would leave this up to the subject matter expert. This is a learning activity packet. You might want to go through that and see how you might want to use this in your environment. You might even want to download it and use it as a separate tool, totally left up to the subject matter expert. So as your students finishes this, one of the things that they need to understand is when they're done, if you notice, there's really no way to get out of this that I can see. So more than likely, they're just going to come up and they're going to X out of this. And it brings them back to this window that says it was launched in a new, the course was launched in a new window. So when we left, it pushed us out of our Blackboard course to that new window that I just closed. The students hit on their back arrow, it brings them back to your course. Now, a lot of them will probably X out. So just let them know and they'll log back into the course. What I did notice when I was going through this, when you go into this environment right here, when it first opens up, if you click on quit, it takes you back to the course. But what was difficult to find out was once I launch that, so here I'm launching it, it takes me into this new environment that really does not have the means of quitting. I have not been able to find any type of a navigational tool that allows you to quit. And so again, you're going to X out. So if they close it out, they just have to log back in. But if they remember, they can arrow back like that. So we've got that in. So let's go grab another zip file, another part of the component. Let's take a look at like what a quiz would do. So again, I'm going to build content. Going to go down to the content package. Going to browse. Going to go look for, and notice here I'm just going to grab the pre-quiz. If I had any questions on which one to grab, I would use my content map that I have gotten printed. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to submit it. And again, I'm going to just arrow back over, copy over, and then just change the name. This is Introduction to DC Motion Control. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to title it what it actually is. It's the pre-quiz. You can put a description in. Of course, I want to make it available. Allow unlimited attempts, allow a single attempt. You can choose number of attempts, whichever one you want to do. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and set it up, allow unlimited attempts. We are going to grade this. Whatever grade you decide is appropriate, you would put that here. I am going to come back and change this to match what I put at the title, because this is what will show up in the grade book. So I'm going to do the pre-quiz, Introduction to DC Motion Control. I'm going to leave it as the score, SCORM score. If you were doing just a completion, incomplete or completion, you could choose that, basically go, no go type of an environment. Again, we don't use the SCOS. We'll leave that on a no. And then when SCORM is completed, show it in the Grade Center. I'm going to take that, make that selection. going to submit it. And now it has built the pre-quiz introduction to DC motion control. If we click on that, here we go in and take the pre-quiz. And it's 18 questions, and we can begin the pre-quiz. I'm going to stop this video at this time. This is basically how you would build it in the instructor side of the house. And I'm going to go and log in as a student here in just a minute and let you see how it would be seen, how a student would see this from their perspective. One other thing that I do want to point out that I thought was an excellent idea that we learned from an instructor who is currently utilizing some of these contents from Amatrol is in the naming scheme. Now notice I left this introduction to DC motion control in the pre-quiz. What this instructor was doing in their naming scheme, and I'm going to go back and edit this one, is they were actually putting the name Amatrol in the title. That way, if you built your own content into the course, you would know which content you received or were utilizing from the Amatrol course catalog or the Amatrol library versus what you had self-built, which I thought was an excellent idea. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and go in here and edit these so it will reflect that. So now if I go through here and I want to build my own content and utilize some of my own materials, I would not put Amatrol in front of that. So this kind of again tells me that this content is being pulled and or utilized from the Amatrol library. So that's how you would bring your zip files in. That's how you would start building out your course. Logic, of course, is left up to the subject matter expert what the proper flow of this is. You can do anything. If you wanted to put these in folders, if you wanted to do unit 1, unit 2, etc., etc. That's how you get the content in. And now what I want to do is I want to go jump out of this. I'm going to go to a different video and we'll take a look from the student's perspective on how to go in and look at the content and then also how to go in and take a quiz. Hope this helps. And as always, you can reach out to your GVTC coordinator at your college and or reach out to GVTC themselves and they will be able to assist you in getting this material into your courses.